Om Jnana Timirandasya Ghanandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Tina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, which verses? So we do again? Okay. Huh? We'd better do that again, or else there'll be a mix-up with the following verses. Is that right? Okay, so we'll do 19 to 22. TK. Yeah, I thought I can remember it, reading it. I see it in my mind's eye. So we'll just chant... we'll just chant all the verses all together in one line. You're all expert at Sanskrit chanting. Probably better than me. So you just repeat. Please repeat. Yatu Krishna Vad Ekasmin. Oh, that's 19, yeah. Okay. We'll get it together eventually. Okay. Huh. Janma karma chakartacha Trideva guna bhedata Prokyate guna sankhya-ne Yathavak chinothanyapi Sarvabhutesha yenaivakam Bhavam avyayam ikshate Avibhaktam vibhakteshu Tajjnanam vidisatvikam Prathatvat vetna tu yajnanam Nana bhavam pritagvidan Veti sarvesha bhuteshu Tajjnanam vidirajasam Yatu Krishna va ekasmin Karye shaktam ahoitukam Atat vasa vad alpamcha Tattamasam udharitam. So one person read one verse, then the next person read the different modes of material nature. There are three kinds of knowledge: action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. 20. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. That knowledge by which one sees in every different body there's a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Okay, so please repeat. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge. Action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Okay, makum karoji vachalam pangam naite girim. So, now we'll just read the purport. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. Purport Srila Prabhupada. In the 14th chapter, there are three divisions of the modes of material nature. The three divisions of the modes of material nature were elaborately described. In that chapter, it was said that the mode of goodness is illuminating, the mode of passion materialistic, and the mode of ignorance conducive to laziness and indolence. In the modes of material nature, all the modes of material nature are binding. They are not sources of liberation. Even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned. In the 17th chapter, the different types of worship by the different types of men in different modes of material nature were described. In this verse, the Lord says that He wishes to speak about the different types of knowledge, workers, and work itself, according to the three modes of material nature. So, then, verse 20, that knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. Purport Srila Prabhupada. A person who sees one spirit soul in every living being, whether a demigod, human being, animal, bird, beast, aquatic, or plant, possesses knowledge in the mode of goodness. In all living entities, one spirit soul is there, although they have different bodies in terms of their previous work. As described in the 7th chapter, the manifestation of the living force in every body is due to the superior nature of the Lord. Thus, to see that one superior nature, that living force in every body, is to see in the mode of goodness. That living energy is imperishable, although the bodies are perishable. Differences are perceived in terms of the body because there are many forms of material existence in conditional life. The living force appears to be divided. Such impersonal knowledge is an aspect of self-realizations. Yes, number 22. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. Purport Srila Prabhupada. The concept that the material body is the living entity and that with the destruction of the body the consciousness is also destroyed is called knowledge in the mode of passion. According to that knowledge, bodies differ from one another because of the development of different types of consciousness. Otherwise, there is no separate soul which manifests consciousness. The body itself, the soul, and is itself the soul, and there is no separate soul beyond the body. According to such knowledge, consciousness is temporary, or else there are no individual selves, but there is an all-pervading soul, which is full of knowledge, and this body is a manifestation of temporary ignorance. Or beyond this body, there is no special individual or supreme soul. All such conceptions are considered products of the mode of passion. 22. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-all without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meagre, is said to be knowledge in the mode of darkness. Purport Srila Prabhupada. That the knowledge, in parentheses, of the common man is always in the mode of darkness or ignorance, because every living entity is conditional life. Everybody in conditional life is born into the mode of ignorance. One who does not develop knowledge through the authorities or scriptural injunctions has knowledge that is limited to the body. He is not concerned about acting in terms of the directions of the scripture. For him, God is money, and knowledge means the satisfaction of bodily demands. Such knowledge has no connection with the absolute truth. It is more or less like the knowledge of the ordinary animals, the knowledge of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Such knowledge is described here as the product of the mode of darkness. In other words, knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond this body is called knowledge in the mode of goodness. Knowledge producing many theories and doctrines by dint of mundane logic and mental speculation is the product of the mode of passion, and knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Yes. Mukam karoti pachalam pangam naiti grim yar kipa. So in those last few sentences, you see Prabhupada sums up the whole thing. The microphone's not loud enough. Huh? What's that? Oh no, it's all right. That kind of flower is very beautiful, but it tends to make me sneeze. So, we'll repeat that last bit because Prabhupada really sums it up. In other words, knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond the body is knowledge in the mode of goodness. Right? In the earlier verse, it explained that person who sees in the mode of goodness, he sees that there's one spirit soul in each body. And that they're one in the sense that though they're individual, they are of the same quality, the same in essence. So of course you're all experienced devotees. You know that very well. That Krishna explains, Mavai Vangsa Jiva Loke, that the living entity is his part. So the analogy is given that the sun has many photons of electricity, of light. So Krishna is like the sun, and we're like little sparks of the sun. Or Krishna is the gigantic fire, and we're like little sparks of a fire. Krishna is the gigantic gold mountain, and we're little particles of gold. Krishna is the gigantic ocean, and we're little drops of the ocean. So we have the same quality. We're parapakriti. Aparayam mitastvam yam prakritim vidime param. So besides the inferior material nature, there is a superior nature. So that is Krishna. He is Satchitananda Vigraha, as Lord Brahma says. So we are also Satchitananda, and Vigraha means form, personality. So we have the same qualities of Krishna, but we're minute. Also there's another lecture where Prabhupada says we're like little samples of Krishna. But we are all individual, right? Meaning we all have our own individual swarup, our own individual nature, our own individual relationship to Krishna. It's not that all, if you look at one spark and another spark, you might think, oh, they're the same, chemically or whatever, but you wouldn't think that they were each different persons. So you mustn't extend the analogy too far. The analogy is that we're the same in quality, but we're also have individual personality. That is called our swarup, your own form. So that is inherent in the soul, intrinsic. One of the big fights that Bhaktisiddhanta made with the Sahaji and Apasiddhantists and so on and forth, they say that the soul has no swarup. It has no anand. You're familiar with this. And that I am giving you, I'm the big guru, I'm giving you your swarup. Or they may say things that I'm giving you relationship, and according to your meditation, your individual relationship will develop, right? Meaning that you have no inherent relationship. So then what's the next step on that? The next idea will be, oh, I must be very careful about what I meditate upon. I want to be a gopi, so if I meditate on the cowherd boys, I'll become a cowherd boy. And that's not what I want. Or if I read the Bhagavad-Gita, I may become a soldier on the battlefield. Right? Because according to my meditation, I'll develop a swarup accordingly. Right? You see the point? So this is this is all nonsense, this idea that the Guru is giving swarup. That means the Guru is God, right? He's putting himself in the position of God, giving the swarup. Nor is it logical. And it confuses the disciple. But it's very good for getting dakshin. Because according to the dakshin, you get a better swarup. No, there's a letter. So that's what the big fight was about. Hey, you're breaking up our Siddha Pranali system. Siddha Pranali is the actual system is Bhajana Pranali. It's described in the Jaiva Dharma, 39th chapter. Bhajana Pranali means the Swarup is waking up from within, and then the Guru gives tutelage to the disciple how to fix and develop that Swarup. This is coming at the stage of Bhava Bhakti. Bhava Bhakti is the liberated stage above the modes. So at Bhava Bhakti, one's individual relationship with Krishna springs from the soul. And there is a letter to Rupanuga, 1969, where Prabhupada answers this question. Rupanuga apparently asked this question in a letter to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, we always have Swarup, it's there, but just like the tree is within, or the flower is within the seed, but it develops fully when we go back to Golok, but it's growing from the soul. Just like they say, there's no anand in the soul. There's some people that are full of these bogus ideas and call institutes after certain Goswamis. There's a complete nonsense idea. That means that they're not parapakriti. If your soul is just sat, or sat and chit, and it has no ananda in its constitution, then it's not non-different from Sachit Ananda Vigraha Krishna. That means it's not parapakriti. But Krishna is saying, I'm apariyamitastamyam Krishnam vidime param. Jiva bhuta mahabaho yetam taryate jagat. So that is also a nonsense. The soul is minute though, but it has all the constituents. It is Sat, it is eternal, it is Chit, it is conscious. If you say it is just Sat, that means it's unconscious. Right? That is the Mayavadi idea. That Sat, Brahman is the ultimate, and we just become eternal, and we merge into eternality. So nobody can understand such an idea, especially a Vaishnava who's realized. But it refuses Chit, it refuses consciousness. What is a consciousness essentially? Consciousness means self-awareness. Not only am I aware, you're all aware, but I'm aware of being aware. So I'm able to evaluate myself. And I'm able to then look at Anand. Am I happy or am I sad? Am I blissful or am I tired? I'm able to evaluate my emotional state, Satchit Ananda. And then to evaluate that emotional state, it means myself, Vigraha. Right? So if you take away those, there's no self, then who is evaluating the Ananda? And if there's no Ananda, what is there to be conscious about? We're conscious of our own self and our own feelings, inner feelings. And even though in the material state it is correct to say it is suppressed, but it is there always in seed form. So just like a seed grows when it is under the sunlight and proper moisture, so through bhakti process, the soul develops. And if the soul has no chit, then he's not alive, is he? He's dead matter. Right? So these foolish ideas, they're infiltrations of Mayavadi ideas, where they decry Chit, Ananda, form and personality, and they emphasize that the soul is just eternal, and that we will go back into the Brahman. So also foolish people, they have this idea, these are all apasidantas, but you should know them. They have this idea that we were never with Krishna, because in the they say the soul is mentioned anadi karma bandha. That means beginninglessly conditioned. And so they interpret that to mean that we have always been in the material world, eternally. So where's the foolishness in that? Krishna says, aham sarvasya pravavo. Everything emanates from me. So therefore we have emanated from transcendental position. And then we have come into the material world. So obviously, anadi, adi also means creation. Anadi means before the material creation. So it means our condition is not rooted in the material nature. It's rooted in our spiritual constitution, our chit factor, our action, our knowledge, our choice. That is the source of that is the root of our conditioning. So Nityabandha, that also sometimes that's translated as eternally conditioned, eternally bound, bandha. But also, Nitya actually also, different definition, is constantly conditioned. So when you're in the material nature, you're constantly conditioned. And so that is why we are in the cycle of birth and death. We're constantly conditioned, whether we're in the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, or the mode of ignorance. We're always conditioned. We're Nityabandha. But somebody who takes shelter of Krishna and Guru and performs sadhana bhakti as Mahat Sevaya, as an offering to Guru, then he becomes liberated. Niyamagraha means you're doing rules and regulations, but you're not doing that for satisfaction. It's not a yajna. Your spirit is not in a yajna mentality. Your consciousness is not doing it as an offering to Guru. Guru has told me to chant minimum 16 rounds. So I do that in obedience. Vishwanath Chakravarti has said that the Guru, the life and soul of the disciple, is the order of the Guru. Right? Therefore, 15 rounds is no good. Well, you can say it's good. But it doesn't compare with 16 rounds. Why? Yes, because it's the instruction of the Guru. 2 Gayatris every day is, you can say it's okay. But three Gayatri, those that have got mantra initiation, that is immeasurably better. Why? It's the instruction of Guru. Prabhupada used example that the Guru says, bring me a glass of milk, dear disciple. And then the disciple comes and says, oh, Guru Maharaj, here you are. What's this? This is milk. I ordered water. So then but I ordered water, not milk. So the disciple says, oh, there's water in milk. Plus calcium and vitamins. Don't instruct your Guru. Do what he is requested of you. Alright? So, because when the Guru is satisfied, he's not satisfied. He wants a glass of milk. He knows very well there's calcium, vitamins and protein in milk, but he wants a glass of water. So we satisfy the Guru by following his order. And then Krishna is satisfied, because the Guru, Uttamadhikari Guru, is the dear servant of Krishna. So 16 rounds satisfies Guru, minimum. And if we study Shastra, that satisfies Guru. And if we chant our Gayatris nicely at the right times, Trisanga, then Guru is satisfied. And if we learn the Shastra given by Guru, Guru is satisfied. And if we try to distribute this knowledge, Guru is satisfied. So that becomes the motivation, you see. Generally in the material world, people are motivated to satisfy their own senses. Smelling, tasting, seeing, hearing, touching. But a spiritual life means you perform activities for satisfaction of Guru. So the basic idea of sadhana is that I'm performing sadhana. Niyamagraha means just doing it without much knowledge. But proper understanding is, it's my yajna to Guru. It's my offering. So they're very simple, isn't it, to understand. But we have to have the right mentality. So if we're thinking, oh, today I was chanting in the temple, doing kirtan 2 hours, therefore 10 rounds is enough. Is that correct? No, because that's not the order of Guru. Do kirtan, okay, but Guru, you promised Guru 16 rounds. So gentleman means somebody who follows, right? Do what you say and say what you do. Don't make up stories about yourself. Oh yes, I'm the son of a multimillionaire. No, tell the truth and then do what you say, right? Gurudev, I'll chant 16. Now, of course, if you're ill or there's some problem, that is forgivable. But we should understand the basic principle, right? And we should understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And if you want to look into this question of is the Swarup inherent, you can write it down in your notebook. Verses 1 to 3 in the 4th pada, that means 4th section of the 4th adaya of the Vedanta Sutra. This very same question in the commentary of Baladev Bijabhushan, this very same question of whether the Swarup or the soul, or the personality is inherent to the soul, is discussed by Baladev Vidyabhushan. And he quotes from the Upanishad. I think it's Svatashvara Upanishad. Yes. He quotes Swarupena Abhivaspati. And the question is in a dialectic form, question and answer. And the question is asked, is the Swarup, when it says in the Shastra, it's manifest or attained? Yes, the Sanskrit word is, the Swarup is attained. Does that mean that the Swarup is assumed? And so then meaning it's added, like a jacket is added to this body. And then the discussion is, no, Abhivaspati means to manifest, but it means to manifest from the soul. So it's attained, yes, but it's attained by self-manifestation. So that's the summary of the whole discussion. And also in the Bhagavatam, Muktir hitavan yata rupan swarupena abhivastati. What is mukti? Muktir hitavan yata rupam is to attain your own swarup. We're not into the Mayavadi idea of mukti. You merge into the Brahman, and then your drop of water merges into the ocean, right? And then you become the ocean. Well, that's a bit strange. How can a drop become the ocean? And even if you look at a drop of water, it has individual molecules, does it not? So even if they go into the Brahman, they maintain their individuality. So there's not a very good analogy to use. So, Swarupena Abhivastiti. So, in the Bhagavatam it explains that mukti means to be situated in your own individual swarup, individual personality. And there's further evidences, that's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think it's the nephew of Jiva Goswami. The Goswamis, he was a Ram Bhakta. You remember the story? Anupam. And he's the nephew of?
Brother of Rup Goswami and Sanatan.
No, exactly, the brother, is he? I thought he was... Yeah, anyway, Anupam. So they were saying, oh, you should worship Krishna, because he is... Ram is manifestation of an aspect of Krishna. It is Manusha Leela. But Anupam tried that, but he said, no, my heart and soul is gone too. I can't change. So this is the Vaishnava Acharyas discuss this point, and they say that is because his Swarup was in Ram Leela. So this is very important. Also, another question on this point is also discussed in the Vedanta Sutra. It says that there are so many spirit souls, and some have the Swarup in Ram Leela, some have the Swarup in Krishna Leela, so on and so forth. So the question is asked, then when there's an assembly of Vaishnavas, then how, and they are all chanting Hare Krishna, where goes the Ram Bhaktas, where goes these? Are they all? So the answer is given there by Baladev Vidyabhushan in his commentary. He explains that in the period of sadhana, or rather as the soul is becoming interested in sadhana, then the Supreme Lord, Paramatma, will guide that soul to a sampradaya within which specializes in his Swarup. So therefore, the people that are naturally Ram Bhaktas, Paramatma will guide those devotees to a sampradaya that performs the worship of Ram, and so on and so forth. That's also in the Vedanta Sutra, very interesting. So we're all under the guidance of Krishna. So therefore, those that are coming to ISKCON and taking shelter of Gaur Nitai and Srila Prabhupada and Radha Krishna, we can understand that their swarup is generally in that format. But it doesn't mean to say that they're all in Madhurya Bhav or all in Sakya Bhav or Vatsalya Bhav. But it also explains there also, it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. It explains that those that worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaur Nitai, the Panchatattva, in the period of sadhana, and they also worship Radha Krishna in Vrindavan, Vrindavan Nath, Radha Krishna, they take two swarups. So these things are possible. And therefore upon liberation they'll have one form in Krishna Leela in Golok, and they'll have another form in Chaitanya Leela. And there's many instances of devotees combined when they incarnate. Of course, we're talking Uttamarikari and Mahabhagavat. For instance, in the class this morning, Maharaj was mentioning Ramananda Roy. So in Kavi Karnapur, he wrote Gora Ganadesha Deepika. That means the associates of Lord Chaitanya. So in that book, he explains that in Krishna Leela, this person is Lalita Shaki, in Chaitanya Leela, Swarup Damodar, so on and so forth. So he explains that Ramananda Roy is a combined incarnation of Pandava Arjuna. Then he is also Arjuna Saka, cowherd friend of, in Krishna Leela, cowherd boy called Arjuna. And he's also Arjuniya Gopi. So even though the soul is individual, in the spiritual world there's no restrictions. He may take different forms according to and engage in Leela in all sorts of different, we can say, positions. So these things we see, we have to understand the spiritual world is not limited by time and space and this and we're in the restricted material environment. But the spiritual world is the liberated environment. So we sometimes project, or we always project, our feelings of knowledge, understanding of knowledge, from the material conditioned state onto the spiritual world. For example, if Krishna wants to walk to Radhakund and he wants to take it, let's say, using material reference again, if he wants to go there in 1 hour, he can herd the cows for 1 hour to the Radhakund area, Shamkund area, and give the cows a nice drink of water there. Or if he wants to go in 2 steps, he can do that too. And also, that is explained in Bhagavatam, that on the Ras Leela night, right at the end of Kartik, also the beginning of Kartik, the full moon before, Sharadiya Purnim, but at the end of Kartik explained that the gopis danced with Krishna, and the length of the night, by earth calculation, was 1 day of Brahma. Right? So you see, in the spiritual, material world, time and space is limited, like this room, for example. We can get maybe, 80 people in here, comfortably. Of course, this is India, so we could put 500 in. But anyway, but in an Indian coach, you can put in 200, no problem. Chalega. So, anyway, but it's limited function, space. But in the spiritual world, everyone can sit next to Krishna on the bank of the Jamuna. Because space is the servant of the Leela. You understand? And so if Krishna wants to make the night, he's dancing with the gopis and the sadhana siddhas and so on, and he wants to dance for 1 night of Brahma, in one night of earth time, Bhumandala time, he can expand that. So time and space become servant of the Leela. It's the unrestricted environment. And if if a devotee wants to have different forms to engage in different Leelas, they can do that also. So we are in this conditioned state. Our knowledge is according to our conditioning, or our perceptions are according to our conditioning. But the spiritual world is liberated from material time and space. Therefore it is there in the end of the Brahma Samhita, right? Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kautaravo, number 56. In the spiritual world, every step is a dance, every word is a song. And at the end of that long verse, 56, you'll read that time is noticeable by its absence. That means material time. So it is described that time is ever present in the spiritual world, and there's without a feeling of fading away. Here we see time in terms of past, present and future. Right? We think in those terms. But that is conditional thought. We're stuck in a certain space, in a certain time, and we're moved along. Conditioned, pushed along. We can't go back to yesterday and take back what we said to the temple president. That got us into trouble. We're pushed along by time. And we are conditioned by the reactions of the past. All right? And we're conditioned by time and space. And we have limited lifespan and limited power, intellect, everything. But the spirit soul, though he is tiny and fragmental and individual, he expands in the sense that by the grace of Krishna, he becomes empowered. Because Supreme Lord is unlimited, his consciousness and power unlimited. So if you're going to relate to him as a cowherd boy, or as a friend, or relate to him as a subordinate, Vatsalya Bhav, parental affection, then you have to be practically on that level. So it's explained there, also in Vedanta Sutra, and also illustrated in Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam is illustration of the Vedanta Sutra. So it explained there that the Supreme Lord empowers the individual soul, that he is practically has the same potency of the Supreme Lord. But it explained there in Vedanta Sutra again, same Baladev Vidyabhushan, that the one power that the Supreme Lord maintains is that he becomes the only creator of a creation, in the sense that he creates the spiritual world, he creates the Brahman effulgence, he creates the material world and the conditions, and the living entity does not have that potency. And it's explained, Baladev explains, because that would make great confusion, right? If the spirit soul become liberated, I think I'll make my own Vaikuntha. I've got a few tips from Krishna, but I'll make my own idea. So it would be very confusing. Oh, what about the material world? We'll only have two modes of material nature. I don't like the Rakshasas. We'll just have demons and devotees, right? So you might have confusion. So that as the soul, he's the soul cosmogony means the creation of the cosmos. So Krishna, he is the sole creator of the arrangement, both material and spiritual, within which we find ourselves. So there is one creation, but within that, the individual soul becomes empowered to relate to Krishna. And it's explained there also in Vedanta Sutra, quoting from Upanishads, that this is bestowed upon the tiny living entity, and it explains that the living entity hears through Krishna, through the empowerment, because everything rests upon Krishna. For example, in the spiritual world, we're talking about knowledge. So you've heard of the Chaturvyuha that expands from Baladev, right? Vasudev, Shankashan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So this is discussed in this chapter. You see, Vasudev, he is the controller of thinking. So the living entity, his thinking rests, if you like, just like beads are resting upon a thread. They rest upon Vasudev Shakti. Vasudev means one who lives everywhere. So the Chaturvyuha, the function of thinking, rests upon Vasudev. And then Shankashan, he is Krishna, devotee of Krishna, but he is Purusha avatar, but he is devotee of Bhagavan Krishna. So he is feeling. So the feeling of the individual living entity, even in the spiritual world, rests upon Shankashan. But it is individual and free-flowing. It is not controlled in that sense. It is enlivened by bhakti, and it is an expression of his personality. And then willing is under Pradyumna. The Chaturvyuha, third one, is Pradyumna. So he enacts, if you like, the decisions of the thinking and feeling in the spiritual world rests upon, and the decisions come, and they rest upon Pradyumna. And then Aniruddha. Aniruddha is the child of decision, Pradyumna. That means action. So that rests upon Aniruddha. And so the actions that the living entity or the Jiva Shakti wishes to perform, they are empowered by this fourfold: thinking, feeling, willing, and then action. So there's a Chaturvyuha in the spiritual world upon which thinking, feeling, willing rests, and then there's a Chaturvyuha in the material world, and that is expanded down from Shankashan, and they also control the thinking, feeling, and willing of the conditioned living entities. And then from Shankashan, Mahavishnu appears, and he emanates jivas in the causal ocean. And then there is from Shankashan, there is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then expanded as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the super soul of all living entities. And therefore, all the living entities, they are resting, their thinking, feeling, and willing, though it is free will, it's an expression of their individual self, is resting upon the Supreme Lord. It's, if you like, it's facilitated by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, that's that verse that Prabhupada quotes, Rupa Goswami quotes, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. Right? Out of all eternals, there's one supreme eternal, that's Krishna, expanded as Chaturvyuha. Chaitanas Chaitananam, there's one supremely conscious living entity out of all conscious, and what is he doing? That supreme conscious eternal living, he is Eko Yo Dadati Kaman. He's fulfilling the desires of all the other jiva. So he's facilitating, Krishna's facilitating, but he is not interfering. So that is the individual soul. So the person in the mode of goodness, to a greater or lesser extent, he sees living entities in that way. Right? So there's also verse, Samaham sarvabhuteshu na dvesho na priyaha. I'm equal to everyone. And so the person in the mode of goodness, what is that? Sune chaiva swapaketa pandita samadarshina. Whether it's in the body of a dog or a learned Brahman or whatever animal, the pandit, that means the actually learned person, not the person who's just got the title because it sounds good, but the person who is actually a pandit sees, in the dog there's a spirit soul, an Angsa of Krishna. In that learned Brahmin, there's an Angsa of Krishna. In the ant, there's an Angsa of Krishna. And according to their conditioning, they're in different situations. So that is the actual learned person in the mode of goodness. So we should develop this vision, and we should understand the spiritual world in terms of the spiritual world. Now all these things like individuality, thought, and this and that, they take some contemplation, but that contemplation will take you to the spiritual world. Do you understand? Like I'm just saying that in the spiritual world there's time, there's progression of Leela, but there's no sense of past, present and future. So that we're so conditioned, we always think, how is that? Huh? But, so you may, your mind may go back from that idea. But if you contemplate that idea, like Shubhari Muni, sitting in Ramtal, 1,000 years meditating, and all the great sages, they meditate upon these ideas. And then by the grace of Krishna, thinking, feeling, unwilling, they get, because Krishna bestows understanding upon his bhakta. So by contemplating these things, you will gain realization, step by step. And that realization will give you entrance to the spiritual world. Understand? Just like you contemplate the Ras Leela, it expanded into a day of Brahma. Then that contemplation, that thoughtful, that faithful application of your consciousness to that aspect of the Leela will take you into the spiritual atmosphere. And that's the purpose of the Bhagavatam and the Leela of Krishna, to contemplate with good philosophical understanding at the beginning, and then you start to get vision of the spiritual world. And then as you get vision of the spiritual world, you feel ecstasy, you feel your own development of your own relationship. Huh? What is that verse? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadakavanai, Shravanadi Surichitte, Karide Udai. By Shravanadi, the consciousness becomes purified, and then the Krishna Prem wakes up. Just like the seed, individual, so it wakes up. So that's why the Leela is there. That's why Shravanam is so important. That we hear from the Acharyas, we contemplate the words of the Acharyas, we contemplate the Leela of Krishna, and then by the grace of Guru and Krishna, we gain realization. And as we become more realized, then our own individuality, our own individual relationship with Krishna wakes up. You understand? You can't, that's also another mistake of the upper sampradayas. They say, oh, I'm going to meditate upon my own swarup. No, but your swarup has no meaning without connection to the Supreme Lord's Leela. You understand? So first realize Krishna, and Krishna's Leela, and then your relationship to that eternal Leela will spring forth from the soul. Do you see the point? But if you just sit down and think, yes, I'm a cowherd boy, I've got a blue shirt, maybe, I don't know who my mother is, but anyway, I'm somewhere there. So you're disconnected, you're meditating on yourself, and that's a material habit, is it not? We meditate on ourselves. Oh, I'm happy, I'm sad, I don't like him, I don't like her, I like that one, but I don't like that one. We're always, we're looking at ourselves as the center of the universe. But Krishna consciousness means that. Be conscious of Krishna and Krishna's Leela. To have a vision of the spiritual world, then your swarup will automatically come out. So don't be distracted by all these silly pranali. I mean siddha pranali. That is not anywhere. That is not anywhere in the Vedanta Sutra, not anywhere in the Bhagavatam, not anywhere in the writings of the Goswamis. It's all misinterpretations and stretches. You want your own individual nature, that is in seed form. And as you develop bhava and prem, then that will spring forth and you'll enter into lila. So you have everything in your own hands. I mean, in your own soul, in your own self. You're not some fragmental part that has only got half of the spiritual energy. You understand? You're not a spark of the fire without heat, only light. You understand? The spark has heat and light. It doesn't have just light or just heat. Huh? It has heat and light. The soul has everything. It's all equipped. So all these bogus apasampradayas, I'm going to teach you how to get your swarup. And I'm going to teach you how to give me a big donation. So don't become distracted. You're all fully equipped. To be related to Krishna, that is your natural state. But the material world is covering you. So people in the mode of goodness, they perform sadhana bhakti, they avoid tamasic and rajasic activities. They have this vision. So that is the platform of starting bhajan properly. So in the beginning of bhajan, you have to get rid of intoxication, illicit sex and gambling and all these things. And then you have to purify the consciousness. Because as Krishna says earlier, right, he talks about knowledge, the knower, and the object of knowledge, right? So what does that all mean? Object of knowledge is like this garland. I'm looking at it, so I'm the knower. And what is the process of knowledge? I can smell it, I can see it, right? So in this material world, we're looking at an apple tree, and we're looking and we're seeing and smelling it, right? So what is the process of knowledge of that spiritual world? Krishna is adhoksaja, right? What's it? Adhoksaja. He is beyond the adhoksaja. So he is beyond the material senses. So Krishna is perceived not like the material objects in the material world, through the sense of smell, the sense of taste, the sense of sight, the sense of touch, the sense of hearing. He's perceived through the sense of consciousness. You understand? So sadhana bhakti, we follow rules and regulations and so on, and we perform chanting of Hare Krishna, so that the consciousness is able to perceive Krishna. So then we go from the mode of goodness to Vishuddha Sattva. You understand? So mode of goodness is good, but it's still conditioned state. But from that platform of relative material purity, you fix the consciousness on Krishna. Then you'll go to Turiya. You'll go to the purified state of consciousness. So don't just get stuck on doing 4 regulative principles and rattling off your round. But what the aim of that is that your consciousness becomes the process of knowledge, and the object of knowledge is Krishna and Krishna's devotees, and you become the knower. Right? We're using our senses in this material world to know this material world. But bhakti yogi means he is purifying his consciousness so that his consciousness can perceive Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and the Leela. He's using his consciousness to see these things. So therefore, like Prahlad Maharaj, we gave a class 2-3 weeks ago, Bhagavatam, and Narada Muni, the devotee, he visualizes the information given of the Krishna Leela. Just like Narada Muni, every evening he sat down and meditated on the form of Vishnu. Shabari Muni, he was meditating on the form of Krishna and Vishnu. So you must fill your consciousness with spiritual form. Because if you don't fill your mind with spiritual form, even though it is created on the basis of the Bhagavatam and you're not maybe directly perceiving spiritual form, if your consciousness, your mind, is filled with spiritual form, then it's satisfied. But if you don't fill your mind with spiritual form, this is smaranam, shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam. So then your mind will smaranam the material form. Right? If you're not thinking of Krishna dancing in the Ras Leela, then you'll be thinking, oh, I remember I used to go to the disco. Right? And your mind will be full of material form. Because if you say anything, apple, what will you think? You'll see an apple. Right? You'll see the form within your mind. So instead of being stimulated by the words of the material world to remember material form, we study the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad-Gita, and then we remember spiritual form. And we meditate upon spiritual form when we're chanting. There's many directions, right? In the Shastra, see the lotus feet upon Krishna, the lotus of the heart. Right? When we read the Bhagavatam, every morning we chant Davakara Kamalavare Nakam. We can meditate on Nrsingadev coming from the column and protecting Prahlad. Right? Instead of just singing Davakara Kamalavare Nakam. We should, now this is a chance to remember and see the Leela. You see my point? Just like when we sing Gora Arti, Jayo, we see our Lord Chaitanya is sitting on the Singhasan, and on one side is Nityananda, on the right side, and so we should visualize that. So we fill our mind with spiritual form, and then, because that is transcendental and Satchit Ananda and Vigraha, then we enter the spiritual world. You see? This is proper execution of smaranam. And we should take the opportunity. Then pada sevanam. That means you develop sevabhav. You feel, oh, that's my home, not this material world. So you develop from the mode of goodness of the individual soul to the swarup. And then mode of passion, it's very simple, right? What is there? Prabhupada sums it up. Yeah, knowledge produces many theories, doctrines, mundane logic, mental speculation is product mode of passion. So that means like in this material world, right? There's always a fashion, right? Communism, that's failed. Now we have Darwinianism, or cultural Marxism, or romanticism, right? Or socialism. These are all mental speculations. They rise up and they get fallen. Feminism, right? Men should not exploit women. And all these, well, not exploiting any women. So all this, these are all thrown up by the modes, and they're all different fashions. So we may understand them because they're all thrown up by the modes, but we should not think that they're going to give any solution to liberation from the material world. They're just concoctions. And so the person in that way, he thinks, oh, that's a Dutch person. That's a person from Bombay. That's a person from Orissa. That person's a Russian. And when they die, they're gone. That's the mode of passion, right? Isn't that what we're taught from school, isn't it? You're born, then you die. Right? And in between, get as many things as you can. Right? So this is all mode of passion. Get it through communism, get it through capitalism, get it through thisism, get it through thatism. It's mode of passion, right? Get. And then when you die, hang on to it. No, it's not going to work. And so mode of ignorance person, as Krishna says, and knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is in the mode of ignorance. Right? To hell with the rest of the world, I've got a sofa and a plasma TV. Oh, it's look, there's a tornado there, there's an earthquake there. No problem, I've got my fridge, so I'm happy. Oh, there's a landslide coming down the mountain. So, that's mode of ignorance. Oh, I'm comfortable in this world. Every pauper is proud of his penny. Right? Oh, I'm a beggar, I've got 10 rupees. That one's only got 5. I'm the big beggar. No, I'm comfortable. So everyone is thinking in that way. Well, in mode of ignorance people particularly. As long as I'm okay, And so that's just ignorant. Because mrityu sarva haraschaham. Whether you've come from Bangladesh and put on sannyasi clothes to collect for your wife in Dhaka, it's still going to be killed off. There's no solution in this material world to death. But there is a solution, and that is to mahat sevaya, like we said at the beginning. Yeah, you do your sadhana according to directions of Guru, but in a mood of offering to Guru. And then it becomes transcendentalized. Then it becomes a source of liberation. So we should Shravanam, hear Bhagavatam, Acharya. Bhagavatam means the Leela of Krishna. And we should chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We should perform Smaranam of the Leela of Krishna, the Leela of Gaunitai, and we should get Sevabhav and do all that sadhana as an offering. Right? Not, oh, I'm going to become liberated, but for the satisfaction of Guru. You understand? Not for me. We shouldn't turn, in the material world, everything done for me. That's passion and ignorance. But we do everything for the satisfaction of Guru and Krishna. And then at the time of death, we won't even notice it. We'll just develop our Swarup, we'll go to Krishna and serve as he desires. Srila Prabhupada Sadhu Sangha Bhagavad-Gita Ki Jai. Any question? Yes.
So, in the beginning of sadhana bhakti, we have a consciousness to do things for our purification.
Yes.
So then we have to transfer that to doing it for Krishna's pleasure.
Well, for Guru's pleasure initially. I mean, always for Guru's pleasure. Because you can never repay the debt to the Guru. But yes, we have, I see your point. We're doing it because we're coming with that, we're based on our own self. So yes, we come to sadhana bhakti and we think this will be good for me. And that is good for you. And it's good to think in that way. But what I'm trying to say is that eventually as we progress and we become situated in a more liberated, a more knowledgeable condition, then we'll realize that the grace of Guru has brought us to this, the grace of Krishna. Just like a child, he takes the service of mother and father for granted, right? He's selfish. Oh, I'm going to school, I'm going to pass the exams, Mummy's cooking me dinner. He never thinks of that attitude. But as the child matures, he realizes that mother and father have brought him into this world, have protected him, guided him, and looked after him. So then they should feel a sense of responsibility, a sense of gratitude. So that comes with maturity. So, yes, Prabhupada does say we've got to fly our own aeroplane, right? So you have to look after your own sadhana, your own study. But then we realize after some time, as we develop a little spiritual consciousness, oh, this is all the grace of Guru. And as we realize the spiritual world and transcendence, look what Guru is giving me, look what Krishna is giving me, look what Gaurnitai is giving me. So then that feeling of offering to Krishna, and that's when bhajan really starts. Bhajan means worship, because it means worship for the other, you see. Initially, yes, and that's good. I want to save myself. But then in the liberated condition, we become liberated from this selfish egotism. And we realize our role is Bhajo Krishna, Bholo Krishna, Krishna Upadesha Karo, you see. And then we act on the spontaneous platform of love and gratitude. So that is a development of consciousness. But in the beginning, that's why it's a good question you brought up, we should be aware of that progression. You see, prayojan, we perform sadhana with a stress on sambandha and abhideya and vaidhi. But we should be aware of the prayojan tattva, the realized state, the purified state. And that's just like if you want to go somewhere, your mind fixes on that. So initially, that may be not very much manifest in our behavior and understanding, but we're working towards that. And then we get a clearer vision of that, you see. So we should know that purified state, even though we're acting initially, because, I hate the material world. Right, four people surrender to Krishna, right? The Atati wants money, the Dukhi, the unhappy, miserable, suffering one. One is curious, one has knowledge, he surrenders. So Krishna says the one in knowledge is the best. But the Atati, it's okay, they're approaching Krishna for a selfish concern. I want to get rid of suffering, selfish concern. I'm curious, I want to satisfy my curiosity. But the person of knowledge surrenders thinking, So that's why initially it's very important to understand the basic principles of the material energy, Bhagavad, and the realized state of the spiritual world. That's being situated in knowledge of transcendence, you see. This is all discussed in seed form here. Is that okay? Thank you too. Anybody else? Yes.
The devotee may hesitate to act for the satisfaction of the Lord because he can think that I am not pure enough to satisfy the Lord. And then the point again, I am doing this for my own purification.
Yeah, this is what Mataji was saying, yeah. Well, the perfection is in the endeavor. You understand?
What is the question, bro?
The same question is a similar question. Devotee is acting for himself.
Because he hesitated that I'm not pure enough.
But I'm not pure, yeah. So at the beginning, yes. So I can't do everything nicely. That's what you mean, right? I can't offer arti nicely. I don't cook properly. I'm always thinking about other things when I'm cooking for Krishna, right? And when I'm offering the plate of bhoga to Krishna, I'm not full of devotion when I do it, right? Yeah, so that is the beginning platform. But we should understand that the perfection is in the endeavor. You understand? You're trying, you're practicing. So the perfection is in the endeavor. Just like when you're learning piano. So you're making a mistake, but it doesn't stop you practicing. So your perfection and your eventual perfection is residing in your practice, even though the practice may be imperfect. You understand? You're trying to play Tchaikovsky's E minor, right? Da, 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 da. So you're not getting it right, but you practice, and then the perfection comes later. So at the beginning of sadhana we should think like that my perfection is in my practice, and Krishna sees it that way. He's trying to serve me and he takes the good side. He doesn't see, oh, he's not chanting the mantra properly. Krishna's not a fault finder. He's looking, oh look, this person, Radharani, look at that, he's trying. So that trying, that endeavor in bhakti is perfection. And it brings you to increasing perfection. You understand? So you shouldn't worry too much, I'm not doing everything perfectly. You should be attentive to improving your practice. But the fact that you're not perfect in everything shouldn't make you feel, oh, I'll give up. Right? You understand? The perfection is in the practice. Are you understanding the English?
Yes, yes. And
just like an alcoholic. They have maybe 12 steps to becoming free of alcohol. So they drink less every day, then drink a little less the next day. You understand? So they think, oh, I'm making progress. So don't think, I have to be perfect from word go. Because even in the spiritual world there is imperfections, if you like. You know, there's sometimes, but that is perfect. That stimulates the ocean of nectar. But so the perfection is in the bhakti. You understand? Not in the external. Just like, for example, when Krishna stayed, he stayed with Vidura. He didn't want to stay in Duryodhana's hospitality. He stayed with Vidura. So Vidura's wife was peeling the banana and giving the banana to Krishna. Skin. Right? You know the story? And then Krishna, but she was so entranced with Krishna, right, that Krishna was eating the banana skin. Because of the bhakti. He didn't say, hey, what are you doing? Give me the banana, not the skin. He said, okay, if you like to give me a skin, I'll eat the banana skin. So, do you see the point? So, even though we are very imperfectly serving Krishna under the direction of Guru, still Krishna is taking the devotion, he's responding. So that's the perfection. Satisfying Krishna through our imperfect practice. But if you keep practicing, then you'll improve. Right? You see the point? So yes, should be attentive, and we should always think, and that's the quality of the devotees, they never think I've achieved such a great, you know, they are very humble. How can I write on Lord Chaitanya? Krishna Das Kaviraj, you say. But the pen is it's working by itself. I'm forced to do this. So, yes, that is the humility of a devotee, that he doesn't think I'm perfect, but he keeps serving. Right? He keeps that bhakti seva bhav. And that's the perfection. You see, in the material world, it's the limited mechanistic function. So we always think it's got to be perfect scientifically. But the spiritual perfection is in the bhava, in the bhakti bhav, in the seva bhav. You understand? So that's what you have to cultivate. But at the same time, we don't want to burn the sabji. Right? You understand? We don't want to sing out of tune. We want to play on the beat when we play madanga. We can't just say boom, 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 boom. Then everyone is, look, what are you doing? You know, so both are there, but the most important thing is the seva bhav. You understand? And then by grace of Krishna, everything will follow that. Right? Any other question?
Prabhuji,